Welcome back. Well, let's get straight to Mr. Himanshu Baid, the Managing Director of Poly Medicure, who joins us on the show. Hi, Mr. Baid. Good morning. First of all, happy Dhanteras to you, your family, and the entire team at Poly Medicure as well.
Thank you, Nigel, and same to you, everyone.
Let's get to a couple of numbers then. You've reported your half-yearly numbers. And earlier, you were guiding for around 20 to 24% revenue growth with margin improvement of 100 to 150 basis points. Any changes out there?
No, I think if you see the growth pattern, I think we have already done a 23% growth over last year, and we are right on the target. And in terms of margin also, I think we have seen 100 pips over improvement already. If you compare to last year's growth, there is already 100, 150 pips improvement already, which has happened in the margins. So we are absolutely right on track, Nigel.
Okay, all right. Since we are talking about various segments on the top line itself, I think renal business, that was something I think you did 90 crores and you were saying that this year there'll be a big growth out there. So could you tell us the target of that? I think 150 crores is what we were briefly talking about. Cardiology as well, I think you were looking at launching some part of this year towards the end of the year. So could you tell us for FY26, what kind of a revenue contribution will come in renal and cardiology as well?
So for FY25, we're already seeing a growth of around 50% in the renal business. And hopefully we can continue a similar growth rate in the next year also. Because now products being fully regulated, there is a little bit of, stoppage and imports from China. So I think that, which was kind of disturbing the market at that point of time. Now things are kind of settling down a bit. So we're pretty hopeful that we'll grow again even next year around 50%. And on the cardiology side, we have just entered the interventional cardiology business, so which has few catheters right now, which we have entered with. And later on, as time progresses, we will enter into new devices in the same segment. And probably we'll also end up entering into the stents market.
FY26, what kind of a number could you do? Because I think in the next
we haven't
4 to
planned,
5 years, 4 to 5 years, I think, Mr. Baid, you were talking about 300 crores. So that's
yeah, so 4 to 5 years definitely. 4 to 5 years, definitely we are looking at that number because that is the market we are looking at. And once we get more clinical approvals and regulatory approvals for the cardiology products, then the market will have more clarity on that business. But definitely that's the plan going over for next 4 or 5 years. Neither.
Okay. Himanshu, hi, morning. How much is exports as a percentage of your overall business revenues?
So export is still 70% right now. We are still at 70% in the first 6 months of the financial year, and domestic is around 30%.
Okay, and you'd want to sort of flip that, I'm assuming, right? Eventually, as a long-term strategy?
Not really, not for the moment, because the export opportunities are pretty big right now. When you look at the China Plus One, and we are very deep now in the European market, and now also entering into the US market. So both these markets offer a high potential. When you look at the global markets, almost 35% of the revenue of medtech comes from US and around 20% odd over comes from European markets. So 50 to 60% is in these two big markets. So I think we have to be there to be on the top of the board.
So Europe was about one third of your revenues, right? And US was just starting for you. I mean, how much are revenues from US now?
So US, I think this year we would end between 2.5 and 3 million for the moment. It is just a start point. But Europe is doing very well. So still over 1/3 revenue is coming from Europe, right?
If, you got an election in the US and the big talking point is tariffs going up. Would that be a problem? If they were to go up, I don't know what...
It is a positive for us because there are tariffs going up from China, basically. So that is something which is already happening as we speak, and already some tariffs have been announced on Chinese products. So I think it will be more positive for us because
what about if tariffs go up out of India? I mean, Mr. Trump has said it's going to be matching tariffs. You have 20%. Well, here you go, 20% for you as well, if you want to sell in the US. So
India, the tariffs are very low for medical devices, only 7.5% tariff, 7.5 to 10%. So I think it's not going to impact much. Even if they have a reciprocal tariff, then the tariff is only 7.5 to 10%.
Okay, all right. And talking about the US business, I think for this year is going to be small, right? It's around $2 million, which you see it gradually scaling up.
Yeah.
2 million for this year, right?
Yeah, 2 to 3 million.
And how do you see this number ramping up?
So I think, Nigel, we have already given a guidance that in 3-4 years, we should look at $15 to $20 million. And I think we're waiting for more approvals to come out, for US FDA approvals. As and when these approvals come out, we'll start ramping up the capacities and the business out there.
All right, Mr. Baid, we're going to thank you for that. But the next time around, we're going to quiz you a little bit more on the inorganic opportunities. You raised 1,000 crores, 250 crores was for inorganic. So as you do that, we request you to come back on the channel in the next month or the next quarter and discuss that with us. Thanks a lot for joining and wishing you a good festive season ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Well, let's